the world. So each week during our Sunday morning worship service, we join together in affirming that love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth.
Service is prayer. And this is our covenant. To dwell together in peace. To speak the truth in love. And to help one another.
Since not everyone can attend in person, we are streaming this worship service online, and we extend a special welcome to all those who are joining us virtually. The joys and sorrows portion of our service, however, is private, and so we will temporarily pause the stream for that. Other than that, this worship service is being recorded, and it'll be available for future viewing on our website. This morning, we'll be hearing from Maggie Reister, one of our fellow congregants here. Please turn off or silence your devices, and as you do so, allow yourself to enter sacred time together. And let's take a breath. And another. And join in the spirit of reverence. I invite you now to join me in reading aloud the responsive reading on the screen. I'll read the regular text, and I invite you to join me in reading the blue text. To laugh is to risk appearing the fool. To weep is to risk appearing sentimental. To reach out for another is to risk exposing your true self. To place our ideas, our dreams, before the crowd is to risk loss. To love is to risk not being loved in return. To hope is to risk despair. To try is to risk failure. To live is to risk dying. The flaming chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. It suggests transformations that take place when we are held within a religious community. When we light the chalice in worship, we illuminate a world where we can feel called upon to serve with love and a sense of justice. Please join me in lighting the chalice by reading together the words on the screen and in your order of service.
Excuse me, before lighting the chalice, let's hear the prelude.
Oh, my bad.
Please join me.
Oh, okay. us enlighten the chalice by reading together words on the screen and in your order of service. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together.
As Unitarians, we do not have a creed, but we do share together in covenants. And each week in this congregation, we pull up a few of those covenants and realign with them. When I read one, please, right after each one, respond with this. For all the ways that we have neglected to expand our spiritual growth and faith in action, may we forgive ourselves and each other, begin again in love. For all the ways that we have not committed our hearts and minds to building a community of caring, acceptance, and reconciliation, may we forgive ourselves and each other, begin again in love. For all the ways that we have not actively worked to build trust and respect in our community, may we forgive ourselves and each other, and to begin again in love. Now please turn around and greet your neighbors, all these beautiful faces. Please rise in body and spirit, if you're willing, and read and sing hymn 1051 and the teal hymnals. We are.
Each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time. We are daughters of dust, and sons of great vision, sisters of mercy, and brothers of love. We are lovers of life, and the builders of nations, pursuers of truth, and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace, in the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandmother's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, mothers of time. We are daughters of dust, the sons of great visions, pursuers of mercy, and brothers of love. We are lovers of life, and the builders of nations, pursuers of truth, and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace, in the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe. We are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe. We are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe. We are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe.
Whenever we gather with others, we have the opportunity to share our own private joys and sorrows with one another, to hold them together so that the lightness of the joys lifts us all up and the heaviness of the sorrows feel easier to bear. I will be coming around the room with the microphone, so if anybody would like to share a joy or sorrow, please say your name and share with us. all that you shared and all that which lives in our heart. May we continue to weave the fabric of this community into ever beautiful patterns. Now please stand for the doxology.
You may be seated. I invite you now to join me in reading aloud the responsive reading on the screen. I will read the regular text, and I invite you to join me in reading the blue text. Let me not pray to be sheltered from dangers. Let me not beg for the stilling of my pain. Let me not crave an anxious fear to be saved. Grant me that I may not be a coward, feeling your mercy in my success alone. Let me find the grasp of your hand. The story today is the last stop on Market Street. You might recognize it. We've used it before, but it's such a beautiful story. CJ pushed through the church doors. Did I skip a page? No, I didn't. CJ pushed through the church doors, skipped down the steps. The outside air smelled like freedom, but it also smelled like rain, which freckled CJ's shirt and dripped down his nose. He ducked under his Nana's umbrella, saying, "How come we gotta wait for the bus all this wet?" "Trees get thirsty too," his Nana told him. "Don't you see that big one drinking through a straw?" CJ looked for a long time, but never saw a straw. From the bus stop, he watched water pool on flower petals, watched rain patter against the windshield of a nearby car. His friend Colby climbed in, gave CJ a wave, and drove off with his dad. "Nana, how come we don't have a car?" "Boy, what do we need a car for? We got a bus that breathes fire, and old Mr. Daniels, who always has a trick for you." The bus creaked to a stop in front of them. It sighed and sagged, and the doors swung open. "What's that I see?" Mr. Dennis asked. He pulled a coin from behind CJ's ear, placed it in his palm. Nana laughed her deep laugh and pushed CJ along. They sat right up front. The man across the way was tuning a guitar. An old woman with curlers had butterflies in a jar. Nana gave everyone a big smile and a good afternoon. She made sure CJ did the same thing. The bus lurched forward and stopped, lurched forward and stopped. Nana hummed as she knit. "How come we always gotta go here after church?" CJ said. "Gal and Colby never have to go nowhere." "I feel sorry for those boys," she told him. "They'll never get a chance to meet Bobo or the Sunglass Man. And I hear Trixie got herself a brand new hat." CJ stared out the window, feeling sorry for himself. He watched cars zip by on either side, watched a group of boys hop curbs on bikes. A man climbed aboard with a spotted dog. CJ gave up his seat. How come that man can't see? Boy, what do you know about seeing? Nana told him. Some people watch the world with their ears. That's a fact. Their noses, too, the man said, sniffing at the air. That's a mighty fine perfume you're wearing today, ma'am. Nana squeezed the man's hand and laughed her deep laugh. Two older boys got on next. CJ watched as they moved on by and stood in back. Sure wish I had one of those, he said. Nana set down her knitting. What for? You got the real live thing sitting right across from you. Why don't you ask the man if he'll play us a song? CJ didn't have to. The guitar player was already plucking strings and beginning to sing. To feel the magic of music, the blind man whispered, I like to close my eyes. Nana closed hers too. So did CJ and the spotted dog. And in the darkness, the rhythm lifted CJ out of the bus, out of the busy city. He saw sunset colors swirling over crashing waves, saw a family of hawks slicing through the sky, saw the old woman's butterflies dancing free in the light of the moon. CJ's chest grew full, and he was lost in the sound, and the sound gave him the feeling of magic. The song ended, and CJ opened his eyes. Everyone on the bus clapped, even the boys in the back. Nana glanced at the coin in CJ's palm. CJ dropped it in the man's hat. Last stop on Market Street, said Mr. Dennis. CJ looked around as he stepped off the bus, crumbling sidewalks and broken down doors, graffiti tagged windows and boarded up stores. He reached for Nana's hand. How come it's always so dirty over here? She smiled, pointed to the sky. Sometimes, when you're surrounded by dirt, CJ, you're a better witness for what's beautiful. CJ saw the perfect rainbow arcing over their soup kitchen. He wondered how his Nana always found beautiful where he never even thought to look. He looked all around them again at the bus rounding the corner out of sight, and the broken street lamp still lit up bright, and the stray cat shadows moving across the wall. When he spotted their familiar faces in the window, he said, I'm glad we came. He thought his Nana might laugh her deep laugh, but she didn't. She patted him on the head and told him, Me too, CJ. Now come on. Now please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing hymn number 109, As We Come Marching, Marching. everyone. And thank you, Jeremy, for one of my favorite anthems, the anthem of the women's movement, Bread and Roses. Good morning. Sandy began our series, A People So Bold, exploring what it means to be a prophetic church. She pointed out that radical caring recognizes that oppression, division, hate, and yes, evil hurt people, and support the interests of the powerful. That evil can be defined as ignorance, not understanding, not seeing or learning about the lives of the oppressed. We learned that we as Unitarian Universalists are called to broaden our vision with moral imagination, covenanting, and a commitment of hope and spiritual audacity. David shared his personal odyssey, starting with the story, The Grumpy Monkey. We learned about the awesome, difficult work of love, of loving ourselves and loving others without fear. He invited us to replace the American dream of work and material accomplishments with a worthy dream of healing souls with fearless love. Barb helped us to explore our beliefs about evil, and some bag lady read the story that it might not be so important what we believe, but how we carry and act on our beliefs. Today, I am wearing a pair of cufflinks. They are real gold with little sapphire stars from Tiffany's. They caught my father's eye. No, not in a store window. His first boss, Ed Erickson, was wearing them. Ed represented everything my father aspired to. Success, he had money, he probably drove a Cadillac, and I imagine his wife wore a fur. Dad achieved most of those things. Unlike most women and black and brown folks, he benefited from the GI Bill and went to college, got a master's degree. He was able to get a mortgage, live in a white neighborhood, borrow money for a car, got married, had 2 and then 3 kids. Became a general agent for John Hancock, just like Ed. And bought his wife a fur. He made it. He stayed in touch with Ed, and the only thing Dad asked for when he passed away were the cufflinks. Fast forward to 1984, when I started working for my father. I hated it. Oh, I too had a master's degree, but it was not in business. I was trained to be a singer and a teacher. It was a rough start. Bad experience teaching, a stint cleaning houses, then I was a live-in nanny, but it was time for a career. I don't work for John Hancock anymore, but I've spent my career working in financial services. I don't hate it. I learned I could help. I could teach people about money. I could inspire them to save. I could show them how to prepare for retirement. Yet few people bang down my door asking for help. Why do you think that is? Because we don't like asking for help? Yes. We don't talk about money. It can be embarrassing or shameful. And what I suspected is true. Many people live paycheck to paycheck. In fact, a 2023 poll conducted by payroll.org indicates that 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. In other words, more than 3/4 of Americans struggle to save or invest after paying for their monthly expenses. Maybe that's why people don't call me. What are your beliefs about money? Is money a necessary evil? Is it a blessing? Never had any? Bad at managing it? Have a lot of debt? Or maybe you're the one lending Aunt Susan and Uncle Joe money because they can't manage money so well? I don't care. Find a neighbor to talk to, 2 or 3 of you at the most, and talk about your beliefs about money. I will give you 3 minutes, about a minute and a half each. Ready, set, go. Do you need somebody to talk to? What are your beliefs about money?
So, my beliefs about money is it's a flow of value of what we ascribe to what's important. It's a medium of exchange. It's in no way a sign of virtue, but it seems to be more, as you noted in your remarks, it seems to come more easily to those in a more fortuitous position in terms of class and race and gender and all the other things that seem to separate us.
Wonderful. That wasn't even a minute and a half. Gosh, I'm going to share most of my thoughts. No, not all my thoughts. I think I just didn't realize how good I had it for a long time, even though it felt like I was struggling, right? I hated teaching. It was hard. I got fired, all those kinds of things.
What you said was incredibly surprising to me because, for the last 10 years, 5 or 10 years, it appears that Carla and I have been in that 12% and not in the 78%. I'm surprised about that because I never thought that we were in a fortuitous position.
Most people have like $2,000 or at the most in savings. Many don't even have $400.
I've heard that.
If you haven't changed, partners, you might want to let your partner talk. You have a minute and 15. Thank you. So that might have even been too much time.
That's okay.
I got to go grab the microphone, but yeah, right. It surprised me too. There's different ways of shifting those statistics, but really, so many people don't have much money.
The distressing thing for me is that some people who are in good shape, it's like, okay, let's pull the ladder up. We've got ours, and there doesn't seem to be empathy, kindness, and thoughtfulness about the fact that we can make things better and we can make things easier for everybody.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that attitude at all. It's
I know.
so totally
I don't either.
Leaving it.
Where are you going? 10 seconds? Oh, is this on? Oh, I'm going to do this now. Okay. All right. Anybody want to share their thoughts? What did you learn? Any beliefs about money? Oh, and there's our timer. Anybody wanted to say, well, that was great. I want to say something. Oh, everybody wanted to talk about evil. Nobody wants to talk about money, right? See, I told you. Going. Not one? Oh, okay.
My name is Darcy, and I don't think people are taught money management in school. I think that if you were taught that more, I think that would help a lot of people.
Thank you. I agree.
So my parents always taught me, no matter how much you make, 10% goes to charity, then 10% goes into savings, and the rest is for bills, and if there's anything left after bills, then you treat yourself to something fun. And then the money's just gone. Like in savings, untouchable, unless it's an emergency. And when your savings builds up enough, then you start investing it. And most of us don't get to the point where our savings is big enough to invest, but that was always the goal.
Yeah.
That's how I was taught. And then 10% you just let go because you can't be greedy. But, I do think that sometimes we need to be our own charity if we're really, really struggling, like with food, housing, clothes. Those are basic needs we all need.
Thank you, Ruth. One more? Okay.
So good news in the state of Indiana. I think econ has been sunsetted as a required course, and personal finance is going to be required now. So there we go.
Okay, all right, well, you're going to get your last chance at learning about economics today. That's great, since it's going out of the curriculum. Thank you. Thank you for your participation. I'm just being very mindful of time so we don't go over. Thank you. Okay. So we are going to talk a little economics here. Let's examine how banks and other financial institutions make money. There are transactional fees on bank accounts. Money that you actually have deposited in the bank is probably invested by them in making more money than they're paying you, if they're paying you anything at all. If you have a credit card or 2 or 6 and carry a balance, you're paying interest, probably a very high interest rate. And if things are really stretched, you might get a cash advance on your paycheck for which you will pay a hefty fee. If you have bad credit, and many people do for a variety of reasons, you will pay higher rates of interest than others on things like car loans and mortgages. And the multiplier effect goes on from there. If you have poor credit, you may pay more for car insurance and homeowners insurance. You may not be able to rent an apartment. If you get too far behind on your mortgage payment, the bank can foreclose on your home. And if you have too much debt, you might call a debt consolidation company that will help you negotiate some reduced payoffs. And then you will pay the debt consolidation company a payment with interest for the next 5 or 10 years, and you will have a black mark on your credit, which may be as severe as a bankruptcy. If you do informal work and are paid mostly cash, you will not have sufficient credits to receive money from Social Security. And if you work faithfully for a company that promised you a pension after so many years and they declare bankruptcy, the pension you were promised will be turned over to PBGC, the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation, and you will receive some fraction of what you were expecting. Like my husband swapping $235 a month from what was once LTV Steel. And if you do have a little money and invest poorly, that money is also at risk. It's great to live in America. And you thought you weren't interested in the economy. It's a war zone with landmines. So I tried to simplify the economic history of the United States. Here are some highlights of the last 100 years. The Great Depression of the 1930s, massive construction projects of the New Deal to jumpstart the economy, the introduction of our income tax, Social Security, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam, those are good for the economy, you know. Runaway inflation, Reaganomics, the dot-com bust, Y2K, 9/11, and the Great Recession of 2009. All things that have affected you if you have lived long enough. My dad, who has lived long enough, was born in 1926. He was a youngster during the Great Depression. Families like my grandparents, Irvin and Leola, came together frequently to make casseroles with a little bit of this and a little bit of that. To this day, my father will not eat macaroni and cheese. Last week, I asked him what he remembers about the Depression. He said that everyone talked about employment. And no wonder. Anybody know what the unemployment rate was in the 30s? 25%. Unemployment today is only about 4%. The economy, by all traditional indicators, is strong. Inflation, interest rates, earnings growth, those are all the things that we measure. Then why, if the economy is so good, are 78% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck? In our book, A People So Bold, Rebecca Ann Parker writes that the way of evil leaves vacancies and deficits in human souls and exploits the many in service to the few. Evil manifests as large-scale systems that deny basic human needs, exploit resources without replenishment, and treat human beings with violence. I didn't question that system. I knew I was expected to compete. I felt great when I was winning recognition in my job, landing a part in an audition. I was deflated, fearful, or angry when I thought I was losing, didn't hit my quota at work, or make enough money, or didn't get cast in the play. I started to understand patriarchy, but didn't grasp the extent of my privilege. Nor did I see these economic realities as wrong. It just is, right? Work hard, save, like Ruth said, 10%, give 10% to charity, save your money, pay your bills. Or there's consequences. Parker doesn't give us a pass. She writes that most of us are inhabited by and captive to the force of market capitalism. It is virtually impossible to escape. A system that honors profit over people allows companies to declare bankruptcy and erase promised pensions. A system that honors profit over people allows and supports home foreclosures and sheriff sales. A system that honors profit over people looks the other way. When our air and water is polluted with industrial waste, oil spills, agricultural runoff, causing, by the way, many acute and chronic health conditions, especially in marginalized communities. James Baldwin wrote in his book, The Fire Next Time, of willful ignorance as a form of evil. Liberal religion, like ours, has been critiqued for having an inadequate theology of sin and evil. How can we address massive social injustice such as the harm caused by a free market capitalist economy if we do not have a strong religious voice? If we do not come together with other strong voices? Rebecca Ann explains that the early Christian baptismal practice prepared people to face evil, resist it effectively, and enter into accountable community. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke to the brokenness and suffering caused by injustice. He named injustice and oppression as evils that had to be transformed. He calls the oppressor and the oppressed both to a vision of beloved community. At the core of faith, as Barb reminded us last week, is not what people believe, but how we live our values. There must be a better economic vision. Because this one is not prophetic. It is not just. It is not a worthy dream. It is not a reflection of our moral imagination. So where can we look to for hope? Where are the prophetic voices? Imagine my surprise when I learned that feminist economists around the world are speaking out in not so quiet voices. Women's traditional work, they tell us, child raising, caring for the sick and elderly, and occupations such as nursing and teaching are systematically undervalued. The very foundation of economic life is built on reproductive labor, which produces every new laborer. And the first commodity, which is mother's milk, without which we as a species would not survive. All of this labor is not counted in the GDP. Why not? Unacknowledged income from illegal activities like arms, drugs, and human trafficking further invalidates GDP figures. Even in underground economies where women predominate, like trafficking and human prostitution and domestic servitude, only a fraction of the pimp's revenue filters down to the women and children. Economic models can be improved by explicitly considering gender, race, class, and caste After all, gender, racial, and ethnic differences in inequality precede capitalism. More importantly, feminist economics is rooted in an ethic of love, fierce and courageous, that recognizes the care economy, that counts informal, unpaid care work. It is an economic model based on right relations with employers and employees, parents and children, teachers and caregivers. Sandy exhorted us, the beginning is near. Libo Hangfiko of Kenya says feminist economics is everything. The revolution is now. We are called as Unitarian Universalists to raise our prophetic voices. Let us commit to radical caring, to co-create the holy in many new and beautiful ways. In closing and in celebration of the passing of the Equal Rights Amendment after 100 years, a blessing from Marge Piercy. This is the blessing for a political victory. Although I shall not forget that things work in increments and epicycles and sometimes leaps that half the time fall back down, let's not relinquish dancing while the music fits into our hips and bounces our heels. We must never forget pleasure is as real as pain. The blessing for the rising of the bread, the sun, the oppressed. But the discipline of blessings is to taste each moment, the bitter, the sour, the sweet, and the salty, and be glad. Be glad for what does not hurt. The art is in compressing attention to each little and big blossom of the tree of life, to let the tongue sing each fruit, its savor, its aroma, and its use. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be.
We choose to welcome the spirit of life, join in our aliveness, and share our resources. This month, we are sharing our loose change for social change with the Northwest Indiana Pride Fest. This is a vibrant event that brings together the LGBTQ plus community and allies for a day of fun and unity. May I have 4 people?
Just want to say something on behalf of the Faith in Action Committee. I want to congratulate this congregation in 2024. You people in the little tin cups raised over $6,800 for charities, and just in December alone, it was over $1,100 for the Family Giving Project. So congratulations to all of you.
That's marvelous. I also forgot to mention that someone has made an offer to match all the money put in the tin cups this month for Pride Fest up to $500. So, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Pardon me. Need to familiarize myself with my script. I have some announcements to make. First one, before I forget, we still have some calendars that need to be picked up. Some of you have ordered calendars. They are in the office waiting to be picked up. Tomorrow, Monday, is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. At 11 a.m. in the Parish Hall, we will be showing the documentary, How Does It Feel to Be a Problem? This film is about marginalized groups that are mistreated in a nation that allegedly cares about justice and equality. A dish to share for lunch will be appreciated. Next Sunday, January 26th, after the service, Ruth Halstead will lead a discussion about the 5-part series, A People So Bold. And also, next Sunday, January 26th, we will introduce new members to our church as they sign the book during the service. Sunday, February 9th, is our annual Super Sunday Soup Cook-Off. Try that 5 times in a row. Sign up to make a pot of soup or just come and vote for your favorite. $5 for a refillable bowl. All proceeds go towards the operation of our church. Also, I was given this. We have an important update to share with you in light of recent governmental actions toward TikTok and in alignment with our principles of justice, equity, and compassion. We have decided to close our Facebook page. This decision is part of our commitment to fostering free expression and opposing platforms that undermine these values. Additionally, we will be eliminating our X account. This decision comes from our belief that the platform no longer aligns with our values and has been involved in activities that we cannot support. For those who have been following us on Facebook, you can continue to stay connected and watch our live streams on YouTube, our church website, Snapchat, Blue Sky, our Google business profile, and our newly created Red Note account. Thank you for your continued support as we move forward to align with our values. A lot of changes going on. Pete, you have something else?
I just want to give an update. The Interfaith Action Network, of which we are part, more than a dozen churches and synagogues in the area, has given this alert. The Interfaith Action Network joins with public school supporters across the state to oppose Bill HB 1136. This bill would dissolve traditional public school districts and elected school boards in 5 communities across Indiana, including Gary and Indianapolis. Then it would require all remaining schools in those districts to become private charter schools. This is a direct assault on the public school system, and they're starting with places that presently have less than 50% of students in public schools as an excuse to completely dissolve public education. That's just a starting point. This is an attack on all of us and all of our communities and the right of children to free public school education. So please help oppose Bill HB 1136. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete.
So, that's a good question. They're asking, they're asking for letters to the originators of the bill. And I can give you those names after church, after the service. I think contacting state representatives, telling them you're opposing HB 1136, House Bill 1136, whoever they are, is important. I don't have faith personally that contacting the originators of I think the originators of the bill personally know what they're doing and doing it intentionally. So, but contact your state representatives to oppose HB 1136.
Thank you, Pete. There's another announcement I forgot to mention. I apologize. On January 17th, the Explorers Club will be beginning their reading of Judaism with readings in the Houston Smith book, The World's Religions, pages 271 to 299, and the Stephen Prothero book, God is Not One, pages 243 to 260. All are welcome. Snacks are too. Now please rise in body and spirit to join in singing hymnal, the Gray Book, number 121, We'll Build a Land.
We'll build a land where we bind up the broken. We'll build a land where the captives go free, where the oil of gladness dissolves our mourning. Oh, we'll build a promised land that can be. Come build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, live and create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like ever-flowing streams. We'll build a land where we bring the good tidings to all the afflicted and all those who mourn, and give them garlands instead of ashes. We'll build a land where peace is born. Come build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, live and create peace, where justice shall roll down like water, and peace like ever-flowing stream. We'll build a land of ancient cities, clean up the station from old, restoring the ruins of generations. We'll build a land of people so bold. Come build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, live and create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. Come build a land where the mantles of praises resound
Closing words are number 698 at the back of the gray hymnal by Wayne B. Arneson. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. I invite you now to join me in reciting the words in blue on the screen up there to accompany our extinguishing of the chalice. May we continue to carry in our hearts the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment until we are together again. Please, oh my goodness, I can't even talk. Please join us for coffee hour and in conversation, yeah.